1900, Kumasi, the Gold Coast. Governor Frederick Hodgson stands before the assembled chiefs of the Ashanti nation and demands to sit upon the Golden Stool. The chiefs fall silent. The stool is not a throne. It is the soul of the Ashanti people, said to have descended from the sky and settled upon the knees of the first king. No foreign hand has ever touched it. Hodgson does not know this or does not care. He believes the stool is treasure, a symbol of conquered wealth, fit to be sat upon by the representative of the British crown. His demand travels through the assembly like a struck bell. Among those who hear it is Yaa Asantewaa, Queen Mother of Ejisu, a woman already past 60, who has buried a husband and outlived 2 Asantehene. She has seen the empire bend before. She has not seen it kneel. By the following morning, the chiefs convene in secret at Kumasi. Some counsel patience. The Asantehene, Prempeh I, is already in exile, deported by the British to the Seychelles 4 years earlier, after the empire's formal annexation. Ashanti's military strength has been tested twice before, in 1874 and again in 1896, and both times the empire absorbed heavy losses. The council wavers, then Yaa Asantewaa rises. Accounts from the time describe her rebuke as sharp and immediate. "If the men of Ashanti will not fight," she says, "the women will." She reminds the chiefs that their ancestors did not survive a century of wars, only to hand over their most sacred object without a struggle. Her words end the debate. The council names her commander of the war, an office almost never held by a woman in Ashanti history. Word spreads through the forest kingdoms within days. Warriors gather at Kumasi from Ejisu, from Kokofu, from Bekwai, from villages whose names never reach a colonial dispatch. By the last week of March, an Ashanti army estimated between 12 and 15,000 fighters surrounds the British fort at Kumasi. Inside the fort, roughly 700 people wait. A mix of British officers, Hausa soldiers of the colonial constabulary, and Ashanti loyalists who sided with the administration. Hodgson himself is trapped within the walls he came to intimidate. The siege that follows will become known as the War of the Golden Stool, though the stool itself will remain hidden throughout it, never produced, never surrendered, never found by British hands. For the first weeks, the fort holds. Its granite walls, built a generation earlier, withstand rifle fire and the intermittent shelling the British return in kind. Food inside grows scarce. Officers ration tinned meat and rainwater collected on tarpaulins. Outside, Yaa Asantewaa's forces cut the roads to the coast, severing the telegraph line that once let Kumasi speak instantly with Cape Coast and London. For a period of nearly a month, the British administration in the region operates with almost no information about what is happening inside the fort at all. By late June, conditions inside have grown desperate enough that Hodgson makes a decision few colonial governors of the era are willing to make. He orders a breakout. On the 23rd of June, roughly 600 people slip out of the fort under cover of darkness, moving south through the forest toward the coast. Hodgson is among them. Left behind is a garrison of about 150 soldiers under Captain Middlemist, ordered to hold the fort until relief arrives. The breakout succeeds, at a cost. Ashanti forces harry the retreating column for days, and the march to safety claims lives on both sides. Hodgson reaches Cape Coast by early July and immediately cables London for reinforcements. What began as a demand for a ceremonial stool has become, in the language of the Colonial Office, a full military emergency. London answers with force. By August, a relief column under Colonel James Wilcox assembles at the coast, drawing troops from across British West Africa, Hausa constabulary from northern Nigeria, soldiers from Sierra Leone, and detachments shipped in from as far as the West Indies. Wilcox commands a force that will eventually number over 1,000 men, backed by Maxim guns and 7-pounder artillery, weapons the Ashanti forces besieging Kumasi do not possess in any comparable number. The column begins its march inland in mid-July, cutting fresh paths through forest the Ashanti know intimately, and the British do not. Progress is slow. Ashanti fighters ambush the column at river crossings and narrow forest tracks, striking and vanishing before Wilcox can bring his guns to bear. Each mile toward Kumasi costs time, and time is what the besieged garrison inside the fort no longer has. Inside the fort, Captain Middlemist's garrison survives on diminishing rations through July, their numbers thinned by disease as much as by the siege itself. Malaria and dysentery move through the fort's cramped quarters. By the time Wilcox's relief column finally breaks through the Ashanti lines and reaches Kumasi on the 15th of July, the garrison has been reduced to a fraction of its original strength, though it has not surrendered. The relief lifts the siege but does not end the war. Yaa Asantewa's forces withdraw from Kumasi itself, but do not disband. Through August and into September, fighting continues across the forest region in smaller engagements as British columns fan out to subdue outlying towns still loyal to the Queen Mother's cause. The turning point comes not in a single battle, but in attrition. Wilcox divides his reinforced army into multiple columns, methodically encircling the districts still in rebellion. Ashanti fighters, though skilled in forest warfare, face an enemy now equipped with machine guns and artillery in numbers the Empire has never had to withstand at once. Villages that shelter Yaa Asantewa's forces are burned. Grain stores are seized. By late September, resistance in most districts has collapsed, though pockets continue fighting into the following month. On the 3rd of October, weeks after the siege at Kumasi ended, British forces finally capture Yaa Asantewaa herself, taken near Ejisu, along with several senior commanders who fought alongside her. She offers no confession, no apology, and reportedly no plea of any kind when brought before her captors. What follows is a settling of accounts the British have wanted since 1896. Yaa Asantewaa, along with roughly 15 other Ashanti leaders, is deported to the Seychelles, joining the exiled Asante Haile Prempeh I in the same distant colony where he has already spent 4 years. She will never again set foot in Ashanti territory. The empire's political independence, already curtailed after 1896, is formally extinguished. Ashanti becomes a British protectorate outright, absorbed fully into the administrative machinery of the Gold Coast. British officers who search Kumasi and the surrounding towns after the war look deliberately and repeatedly for the Golden Stool. Palaces are searched, shrines are opened, elders are questioned. The stool that started the war is never once produced, never surrendered, never located by a single British hand throughout the entire campaign. Yaa Asantewaa dies in exile on the 17th of October, 1921, 21 years after she raised her army, never having returned home. She is buried in the Seychelles, far from Ejisu, far from the forest paths her warriors once held against a modern army for the better part of a year. Prempeh I outlives her in exile by several more years before the British finally permit his return to the Gold Coast in 1924, restored not as ruler of an independent empire, but as a ceremonial king within a colonial structure that has already absorbed his territory into its administration. The war that bears her name and the stool that gave it meaning pass into a strange kind of afterlife. Officially, a British victory, recorded in colonial dispatches as the suppression of a native uprising, yet remembered across Ashanti oral history as something closer to a refusal that could not be broken by force. The Golden Stool itself does not stay hidden forever, though its return owes nothing to British persistence. In 1920, nearly 2 decades after the siege, a group of laborers digging a road near Kumasi accidentally uncover it, buried in the earth where Ashanti custodians concealed it at the very start of the war. The discovery causes an immediate crisis. The laborers strip the stool of its gold ornaments before anyone realizes what they have found. and word of the desecration spreads through the Ashanti community, faster than word of the recovery itself. Ashanti elders, outraged that the sacred object has been touched and stripped by common laborers rather than properly repossessed by its rightful custodians, try the men responsible under traditional law. Several are sentenced to death for the desecration, a sentence the British colonial administration, still governing the territory, ultimately commutes. The stool is restored, reconsecrated, and returned to its concealment, this time far more securely guarded than before. It remains hidden from public view for decades afterward, brought out only for the most solemn ceremonial occasions, still never sat upon by anyone, British or Ashanti, an unbroken rule that predates the war and outlasts the colonial administration that once demanded to break it. Kumasi itself rebuilds around the memory of the siege. The fort that Hodgson once commanded still stands in the modern city, repurposed over the following century, its granite walls a physical remnant of the 7 months in 1900, when a colonial governor's single demand for a ceremonial seat ignited the last major war of Ashanti independence. Yaa Asantewa's name endures far beyond the borders of modern Ghana, invoked in later decades by independence movements across West Africa as an early symbol of organized resistance to colonial rule. A queen mother who led an army when the male chiefs hesitated and who never lived to see the empire she defended regain its freedom. Historians still debate exactly how close the siege came to breaking British control of the Gold Coast entirely, given how thin Wilcox's relief force was stretched before finally reaching Kumasi. What is not disputed is the outcome for the object at the center of it all. British officers searched shrines, palaces, and forest paths for months, certain that seizing the stool would seize Ashanti's will to resist along with it. They found neither. The Golden Stool sits in Kumasi today,